Hey guys, welcome to the first official session of CZN on my channel here, Chaos is Zero Nightmare. A couple months ago, I did do kind of an overview of the developer video where they kind of tease the mechanics and stuff like that. I got to participate in a playtest. I believe it ran for 4 days, but I spent only 3. I was busy one of the days. I spent only 3 days on the game. That was mixed with online on stream, live, and actually played it offline, which is impressive for me. I just felt like CZN, with the right developer doing this, kind of had like the magic formula for me. I didn't want another Epic 7. I didn't want an Epic 7 killer. I just wanted another game. I wanted another game from a dev that I trust and that I want to, you know, continue to support, whether through monetary, probably not, because I'm free to play, free to play now, or at least by word of mouth. And I will have to say that on the first day, so my breakdown with the playtest, and this is how the video is gonna go. This is unscripted, okay? So I'm basically just going to cut between the footage I got from my 3 nights of live stream and kind of talk about it. But the first night, my impression of CZN was, overall, it had the Smilegate kind of expected quality to it. The characters, they hired decent animators, good artists, and sound design is pretty good. The soundtrack was pretty good. But those are kind of things you would expect in a gacha game, so I wouldn't say like those are pros and why you should try CZN. But again, continuing on my first impressions for the first night, the kind of like the drawing of cards and the turn-based combat, that is familiar in and of itself. Many gacha games take on this, and not even, you know, just gacha games, but like JRPGs, other RPGs in general, indie games. Turn-based games are still somewhat easier to program. You have certain sets of animations per skill, and you know, but like in terms of the back end, when you're coding like how much damage and multipliers, all that kind of math stuff is much easier than to do something like, you know, like a Street Fighter or like a first-person shooter where there are hit detection boxes and net code and all that kind of stuff. It's much easier to implement. So again, not, you know, saying that Smilegate did a bad job. They definitely chose, I would say, the easier route in terms of creating a new game or a fresh game. But overall, I was impressed with the you know, the usual quality from this company. There's nothing less I expect. One thing that I did have a gripe with, especially in night 1, was that when you hold the cards up and you have some kind of skill, all the females have their butts pointed at you and in all weird and just like contorted positions. Some girls have their side boobs, and even heck, the freaking the frontal cleavage is facing towards the camera while the waist is turned the other way, while the head is turned toward the enemy. It's all just crazy. Like ultimately, I think, yeah, that's gonna do some service, but unfortunately I feel like Smilegate pinned themselves in a corner. Now, if you're using the male characters, even the rarer characters, we'll call the rainbow characters. I don't think they're called SSR here. I don't think they're really called 5 stars. They're just like the rainbow characters, the rarest ones. They are like better drawn. Again, I'm talking about the animated characters standing on the left side of the screen when you have a skill or when you're like applying a skill. They don't look contorted, so that part ducked a bit of points for me. It's like that wasn't a creative solution to get the gooners going, in my opinion. Like, I mean, gooners are gonna goon, right? But it just felt like they pigeonholed themselves. Like they could have thought about a better way to do that. That was one of the gripes I had in the first night. The second thing was their UI. Now, again, if you guys watch my Epic 7 videos or you've come to my streams, you know that I'm a game dev, but my primary job is to do with UI and UX, which is user experience. I'm very well versed in this place, and one of the things I disliked was the fact that their what we call front-end UI. This includes like settings, lobbies, all your different menus. So when you're not in combat, like why it looks like MiHoYo games, why it looks like Genshin Impact. Now Genshin Impact, because of how much money it made and because of how groundbreaking it was at the time when it was released, every other Genshin copycat ended up using the same type of, you know, very clean white like UI, and it honestly just gets a bit old. But the thing is, like, yeah, so you're like, hey Jagan, well, other games use white UI even before Genshin Impact. How is it just a Genshin thing? The other thing is, like, even the gacha currency, I jokingly call it primo gems. Now, like, arguably enough, yeah, they look different enough. But if you're an Epic 7 player, you know, you can attest to this, that Skystone just looks like a diamond, right? It's simple. Maybe you can call it outdated in terms of a gacha currency, like a premium currency, but like, why did it have to go with the full on like crystal shards thing? Like, why did it have to look like a primo gem? Also, like, icon states, rarer stuff is highlighted like orange and stuff like that. So in terms of like the premium currency versus like something that's like a farmable level up currency. The issue I did have was by the time we got to the summoning portion, or when you were allowed to actually summon, so presumably if you can reroll in this game, this is where you would start rerolling. The issue I had was that the rates seemed kind of low, and eventually this is going to be like a Genshin Impact. I think Wuthering Waves has dual banners as well, and oh, what's it called? I used to play Punishing Great Raven quite a bit as well. Like, I think arguably you would want to be pulling on two banners, one for the combatant, which is what are equivalents to a hero or the usable character, versus a partner, which acts like in other games some kind of gear or artifact that basically gives you special special skills, has special battle conditions, and it basically beefs up your character to the best of its degree. My issue was that, again, it's even in the playtest, because we have a limited roster, the summon rate was kind of low. There was definitely a lot of fluff 3-star, especially when we talk about the partners. So again, aka artifacts. I'm gonna use that for my Epic 7 audience so you understand what I'm talking about. 3 stars. It's not to say that they're not good or bad, but it's just like we all know that eventually the 5 stars is going to be so much better. Now the playtest characters that were released, and this is a bit of a speculation for the future, the characters that are given in the playtest are pretty good. Like, everybody has their own role, but there was like only like, I would say, one like SSS character, and I was like, I think her name is Kalipe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I did pull her, and I'll most likely pull up footage as I'm voicing this over here. At first I didn't want her because she wasn't quote-unquote waifu enough, but it turned out, especially on my second night when I started playing it, I just started realizing, wait, she's just outdoing everyone I have, and it just clicked for me that no, she's one of the most OP characters. So on launch, my prediction is that she will be like the SSS character you'll be rolling for, because I think just with her as a rainbow character, as the rarest, an SSR equivalent or a Nat 5 equivalent or whatever you want to call it, it's going to be the best in slot, and everything else could be filled with 4 stars. Every other role. Every other 5-star, like let's say you're like a straight on attacker, you're a support, you're a healer, you're a tank. Every other character can do their role well, but only Calliope is most well-rounded, and it's mainly because she could do crazy amount of damage, and she's a tank, and she can put up shields, which is for your gameplay. You need the shields. If you don't have shields, you take on damage, but you also take on this thing that basically makes your characters insane, and if they're insane, they're incapacitated until you could free them. This is getting a bit too in the weeds, I think, for a playtest video and what my impression is for the game, but at least it gives you a hint of how OP she is. that being said, I think eventually when these games launch, they usually have like a limited character very quickly. They have targeted banners really quickly, and my prediction for this game, especially on my night 1, I can already kind of foresee it. It reminded me of a game that I used to play called FFBE, which is Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. If you're watching my YouTube video and you're a long-term viewer of mine, you would be also familiar with that because I used to whale in that game, and that was a regrettable decision. Ultimately, FFB had the issue of where's the end game. So the end game was always trying to take on the content that you currently had, especially for a whale. So I'm talking about whale. Taking on content you currently had, which were trials, like basically boss challenges or whatever, and then you're trying to kill them as fast as you can. You're trying to one-shot them. You're trying to come up with different comps, and that was the end game. Ultimately, that was the end game for that game, and that ends up being kind of worrisome, especially right now that how I see CZN is that it will have that similar end game. It would be that you're kind of content locked until like a new event, or potentially, you know, after a year or 2, they're gonna release more core modes. So that could be worrisome, because all you're gonna do is like you're gonna log in, use your energy or whatever. What happens when you max out all your characters? What happens when you max out all the content? We'll have to see. This is speculation on my part. I kind of fail to see the ultimate end game. Especially there's no outlet like a PvP at the moment. My knowledge is that they might be planning it, and it would be pretty cool if they had PvP, but let's count that out of the picture for now. My worry is for the people who have itchy fingers and may have access to a credit card. The end game may ultimately be, you know what, I don't have that character, but I've done everything, so I'm gonna pull, I'm gonna check out my luck. We've all had that. Even free-to-play players have that itch. So that's my worry, but you know, if you have good self-control, you don't need to worry. Play the long game. I think with all the events, with all the story, basically the campaign, with all of the modes that they have for free, you'll have enough free premium currency. As long as you play for it, not pay for it, as long as you play for it, I think you have enough premium currency to pick up any limiteds, and all that kind of stuff. The other thing I should mention is that how are duplicates affected here? So yeah, again, the unfortunate part, again, another point kind of deducted for this game, I would say, was that, again, that first night impression, it was kind of like Genshin. It reminded me all like Genshin. Everybody was asking, hey man, how do the imprints work, or how do the duplicates work? And they basically do unlock. They unlock a thing called an ego skill, or they improve upon the ego skill. And the ego skill is basically your character's ultimate. And that ultimate, depending on the character and depending on I think the rarity as well counts into this. Your ego, you can only use your ego skill when you charge up a bar. And that bar is universally charged based on the actions that you do. So think about like in Final Fantasy, it's almost like a limit break. And once you use it, it's you know for whatever tactic you need to use. Every character has an ego, but you have up to, you can, I think the max, at least right now, from the playtest, is that 6 copies on top of your original. So if you pull 7, you can max out the ego skill. So overall, night 1, I ended up with kind of like, nah, I think this game is gonna fail on launch. I'm not gonna play it, and that was what I said on the live stream. And then we get to night 2, and just like early on in Epic 7 days, you had to grind all the content to get the Sky Stone, to get the bookmarks, to be able to pull, to get the characters that you want. And now this being a playtest, I was like, you know what? It's not even really my account, so let me continue to play it. So I put a positive mind forward, and even my stream chat was surprised. It was like, what? Did CZN kind of win you over? Like, what changed your mind? And I honestly started thinking about it, not to compare it with Epic 7, but to see it as a game itself. Like, what made the game good and what made the game bad without comparing to other games. That was one of my goals for night 2, and I honestly just enjoyed it. I enjoyed the time. I started realizing the nuances of every single particle, every single glow and animation that was happening in the UI space, especially when you're farming for like growth materials, like level up materials to enhance your combatants, your characters. And there was like autoplay, and the autoplay thing was, again, it's not like revolutionary, it's not groundbreaking, other games have done it, but the fact that I think, and Smilegate boasted about it, again, their art, their dynamic lighting, they talked about that, and I talked about that in that video when I was breaking it down. I was skeptical of it, and however they pulled it off, which again, I've made multiple, you know, thoughts, especially on stream, of how they potentially achieved it. But getting back to it, all the animation, all the intricacies of the animations added together to make it a very visually satisfying experience for me. One of my guildmates actually mentioned something that I had thought of, but I never mentioned it on stream, and I think I should mention it. My guildmate Dwale, he was saying that he actually really liked the design, and not so much the design of just the characters, because again, every gacha game has some booba waifus, right? So like how big of a booba, or how decent, like how beautiful of a booba can you make it before you be like, wow, this is the best booba I've ever seen. Booba is a booba, but he had a point where the enemy designs were really good, and I was like, you know what, that's actually a super accurate take. And especially again with the playtest, it was just like the beginning. Like how much more could we see in the future of the potential bosses, challenges, all that stuff? There was a unique grotesqueness. This is how I would word it, of those enemies, of the bosses, of the characters you're fighting. And the initial impression I had was like when I saw Attack on Titan season 1, and it's because like the deformed titans, it gave you like this kind of eerie feeling, like the big teeth, how they chomp through people, and how they look like, you know, insane or whatever, and it gave me similar vibes. So I definitely have to agree that the enemy designs were really good, so it made you feel good about killing the enemies, right? And I think that's what, like, why like at a psychological level, a lot of people like watching zombie movies, because like zombies look disgusting, so you kind of want to get rid of disgusting stuff. It's just like, you know, jokingly I say, like, you know, like if you're ugly, like get away from me. I'm just kidding, but generally, like psychologically speaking, I think especially me as a player, I do enjoy killing monsters. I do enjoy killing ugly beasts and creatures and stuff like that. So again, like why I, you know, if I like zombie movies at all, it would be because of that, because the grotesque nature of it. So I think that is really good. It had that going for it. And then of course, as I kept on playing through the campaign, also more modes got unlocked, my characters got stronger, and then so I started to get the flow of it as well. It's like understanding the mechanics is also another thing, when you're not just swiping up to unload a card, but you're actually kind of planning, you're actually kind of, you know, pulling off a technique where you're, especially right now where I'm kind of still learning the game, where you pose a theory craft. It's like, hey, if I do this, would it be a clean battle? The other aspect I found that was really, really nice in the game was, again, the roguelike part. Now, I've played my fair share of roguelites, and it depends on the genre of game. Like, is it action? Is it... I definitely felt like this was kind of rewarding. Again, I think that there's not... Like, I haven't played it enough to know if there is an infinite combination. So far, I think what I have been playing has been somewhat scripted. So, like, if you do the same run 2 or 3 times, you can expect the same gear in said path, and the boss is going to be the same and stuff like that. I think there are going to be modes, and on launch, this is my prediction, that is going to be somewhat more random with better rewards. And if that is the case, I think that game loop in and of itself might be pretty fun. So my understanding so far is that you go into a roguelike run, which is quote unquote supposed to be random. I'm putting that in air quotes. And you kind of go through the path and you're trying to find the right gear for your right characters. At the end of the run, assuming it was successful, you kill the boss, you can save that instance of your character, including the cards that you used and including the cards that you lost and gained. So there are all these mechanics that are in a roguelike run. You can have those kind of things based on your choices, the direction you choose, how many bosses you fight, or some other RNG stuff. I think there's enough facets of RNG that does make the gameplay pretty interesting. But again, at the end of the run, your basic objective, and this is what I think is going to be the long-term objective, is again to get the best gear on a specific run with the best cards, and you get to save it as a quote-unquote memory, and that memory ends up being your loadout. But you can save multiple loadouts, but you may never get the perfect one. There are other things in this game as well. I think that that could be changed in the future, the quality of life, which is in the playtest you can only refresh your energy 8 times, and that is using premium currency energy. So equivalent to using your Sky Stone or your Primo Gem or whatever gem you have, you're capped to 8. I don't know if that is good or bad. I mean, it could be good on launch where the whales won't get farther or that much farther than the free-to-play. But because it doesn't have much PvP, I don't really see the reason why they would cap the energy. But you know, to each their own. It is up to the devs to do it. I don't have much critique on it, but I did find that quite strange. Other mechanics, I think, especially in the combat itself, are things like epiphanies, which can change the, you know, depending on the epiphany, it can change the outcome of the card. Has like random effect, and the epiphany itself basically appears as a light bulb on your head, but it can have like basically game-changing RNG in terms of your combat. There's a ton of mechanics in this game yet that I have yet to explore, and I won't even pretend that I know about them. But that's also another reason why I think that I would definitely play this on launch, and I would highly recommend it as well. But that was like my experience with Night 2. Alright, so we'll end the video with Night 3, and I think Night 3 will be where I would say is a good place to have a summary of what I think. If you have been with me all the way up to this point, I really do thank you for your attention. But you're obviously listening all this way just because you really want to see, you know what, is this game good or not? It is definitely deserving of an 8. That 8 can fall very, very fast. It could fall to a 7, 6.5 very fast if they don't get, I think, the launch right. And everyone really well knows these games, because there's such a buttload of these games, they have to get the launch perfect. I would say as advice number 1 would be that Smilegate make sure that their content is super solid when they release this game. Make sure that people will not be able to get bored of the game based on maxing out the game within the first 6 months. And what I mean by that is someone who is, you know, not wasting any single energy. No energy is going to be overcapped. You got to make sure that kind of player is taken care of in the first month, that they have stuff to do that they can do, and they can do it without feeling like they have to open the game and they have to wait for energy. Like I said, the energy is capped in terms of refill, at least in the playtest. I don't know how that's going to be. If they can make sure that the first month launch is super good, and at the tail end of the first month some crazy hype limited character is released, then that's going to be it's going to be really good. It's going to pop off. I will say it would be a hope, not saying that they have to, but it would be a hope that they increased the gacha rate to like with a 0.5. So I think it's like a 1% for you to get a combatant, like an SSR or a 5-star or a rainbow equivalent, whatever. If they can move it up to like a 1.25 or 1.5, I think that would be a super nice start. I'm not asking for a 2. I'm not even asking for a 3. Their pity is at 70. So arguably speaking, you can justify the lower rate. But again, I think it would be nice, but not necessary. My main concern is, again, the first month launch has to go smooth. It has to feel rewarding for players. It has to feel inviting for players. Those things really matter. And once that momentum picks off, the loyal players in that first month will carry on the word, and I think they were going to do well. And again, it has the reputation of Smilegate, but that's to say though, Smilegate has not had every single game they launch been pop-offs. So that's why I'm hoping CZN is different. I think it really has potential, and I'm willing to stick with it for at least a full year and see how it develops and evolves. But anyways, that's my very long-winded video of basically saying definitely try it out, highly recommended, 8 out of 10 for my scaling, and I gave you context to what that 8 out of 10 means. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing if you haven't already. Please leave a comment down below whether you had played the playtest or you haven't played the playtest and you've seen people play the playtest. What do you think about it? What are your concerns? I think that would be really good as well, because as a content creator, if there's enough data points, again, what people are concerned about and what I didn't cover in this video, then I can bring that up to the table and potentially we get to see some changes very fast. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this content. I'll talk to you guys next time. Heal again. I think we could maybe beat it. We can maybe beat this. Oh shoot, yeah, we need to do, okay. So I remember this boss. Okay, we need to save all AoE for when he summons the bubbles. On any turn I don't take damage, I just go straight out full damage. When you perform an extra attack, deal tenacity damage 1. I don't have any like real single target damage here. I guess this one. Wait, Aqua Ball? Okay, now we need to do AoE damage or apply mitigation. Mark target to... Wait, when using an attack card, apply mark to target 1. But is it all... Okay, I have to understand the mechanics of that. I think the descriptions could be longer, to be honest. That's something Epic 7 has, it's like very long. Well, I could break his shield this way. We don't need... We don't need shields on this turn, so we go... Dragon Fist. Yeah, I'm gonna use out of shield turn here. I think my hand will be open. We do AoE this turn. We do have AoE. Broke, nice. Oh wait, there's 2 alive. I don't want to waste anything though. Mark it 5 times. Broken. Oh wait, did the others die? Wait, those bubbles died. I don't know why. He's almost dead. I think we get this run. Couldn't even break that shield. Alright, nice.
さて全員蹴散らしてやる発射始末してやろう
Nice. Alright, that felt pretty satisfying. When you know the actual boss mechanics, it felt pretty satisfying. Copy card, what do we want?